The story begins with a young woman of charming appearance, and when one says young, it truly means young. She is a noble of refined manners named Melphiera, whose name alone conveys elegance. She is serene, peacefully enjoying a delicious meal, until a bald man of equally distinguished bearing approaches. He introduces himself politely and, curious, asks to taste her dish, fascinated by flavors he has never experienced. He watches closely as Melphiera, smiling, offers him a piece. As soon as he tastes it, the man is delighted by the flavor, praising the perfect balance of the meal, though the taste of the meat stands out. Intrigued, he asks where that ingredient comes from. Melphiera, with courtesy, replies that it is beef. The man tries to keep his composure, but is soon overcome by shock and ends up vomiting. He can hardly believe what he has just swallowed, which would sound quite strange in any other context. However, his gesture was not rude. In truth, he was horrified, for the rear horn is a poisonous magical creature, and he cannot understand why such a refined lady would put that in her mouth. Again, the situation seems indecent, and he realizes how improper it all sounds. Recalling a curious rumor about a local girl, the man understands what he has just witnessed. Meanwhile, Melphiera rejoices that they liked her food. In her thoughts, any monster can become edible with the right preparation, and she still believes someone will one day understand that. Next, she attends a party, focused on savoring each dish at the banquet. She is radiant until Talbot, the family's servant, appears to remind her that the celebration has nothing to do with food, something Melphiera considers ironic. Yet she knows the girl is right. The event is merely a pretext for nobles to talk, form alliances, and find potential spouses. As a count's daughter, Melphiera understands she was sent there to arrange a husband once and for all. Though reluctant, she thinks of sacrificing herself out of duty. The idea bothers her, for she dislikes social gatherings and has no friends with whom she feels comfortable. Her mother, however, had warned that if she did not find a husband within a year, she would be sent to a convent which, as Melphiera recalls, would mean becoming a nun. Her father, in turn, insisted she accept any worthy man, and that pressure forced her to attend that event. Even while hearing spiteful remarks about herself, many reject her for not understanding her way of being, and that makes her keep her distance. Avoiding the groups that whisper behind her back, she prefers to mingle among knights and lesser nobles, believing perhaps someone there might know her without prejudice. Suddenly, commotion begins. They announce that a magical beast is approaching. Chaos takes over the hall. People shove each other, and elders end up falling. One of them breaks his cane, and Melphiera hurries to help him when she notices the rear horn right behind. Amid the panic, even without knowing how to fight, she decides to lure the monster away from the others. Deep down, she laments not having lived long enough to fulfill her dreams, believing that this would be her end. But, at the decisive moment, a man appears and defeats the creature with a single strike. His strength and precision leave her stunned. The warrior is Aristide Roger de Galbraith, recognized by the crowd as the feared blood-stained Duke. While many recoil in terror, Melphiera cannot avert her gaze in admiration. He, noticing, asks if she fears him as well. Despite the rumors about his madness, Melphiera sees something different. She perceives nobility in his features, almost as if sculpted by angels. Recovering, she introduces herself formally, aware of his importance. Still, she worries upon noticing the poisonous blood on his face, for she knows that simple contact with the skin causes fever and pain. She regrets the waste, thinking she could make sausages with that meat if she had stayed calm. The Duke interrupts her, claiming he knows those creatures well, and she realizes she had started talking like someone out of her mind. Kindly, he offers purifying water, noticing splashes on her face. Melphiera understands the danger and accepts. Seeing her stained clothes, Aristide offers others to replace them, but she refuses, explaining that washing them will suffice, a confidence born from experience, since she had recently faced one of those beasts. The Duke is surprised and, intrigued, asks her name. Melphiera then properly introduces herself, mentioning her noble origin, which amuses him. He understands the reason for her knowledge about monsters and recalls hearing about the monster devourer. In this world, it is explained, there exist magical creatures and enchanted plants known as monsters. those who try to eat them suffer nausea, fever, and pain, which is why they are discarded after death. Still, Melphiera, driven by curiosity and hunger, ignored such warnings, earning fame as a gluttonous noble. When the Duke questions her about it, she claims to be more interested in food than in monsters, which astonishes him. He asks if that fallen beast truly looks appetizing, and she thinks it does, imagining ways to make it tasty after all. If something is eaten, it must taste good. Realizing how strange she sounded, she tries to disguise it with a smile. The Duke observes her intently and makes a critical remark, which she interprets as disapproval, but he is, in fact, impressed by her beauty. He apologizes and takes her hand, guiding her elsewhere, while Melphiera realizes that, for the first time, someone does not fear her. On the way, the Duke turns and asks if magical beasts are truly delicious. Though the question sounds simple, she feels afraid because she knows that by answering honestly, people usually call her crazy before walking away. She decides the best way to explain is by showing an example. So she compares the black horn to a dish of beef. For the flavor to be truly appreciated, it must undergo certain preparations. The comparison arouses the Duke's curiosity, who, interested, asks whether the creature's magical power causes no harm. Even when someone does not know what a black horn is, it may seem a common doubt, but in that world such a question would be considered absurd. For her, however, there was something fascinating in it, something simple yet wonderful. Feeling accepted and not rejected made her genuinely happy. Excited, she begins to explain that the magic must first be extracted, and that this can be done along with the removal of the blood, although it requires special tools and enchantments she has not yet mastered. Aristide, holding Melphiera's hands and calling her by name, asks that she let him try the next time she prepares something similar. His gesture and gentle tone deeply move the young woman. Suddenly, she remarks, half amused, that she wonders if the Duke has a strong stomach, since the poison of the black horns, when irritated, is extremely potent. Aristide smiles and explains that the preparation can be done in two ways. When he cuts the meat and makes sandwiches, as he once did long ago, the result is tasty and safe. The other method he has not yet tried, since he lacks the necessary instruments. That awakens even more of his interest, and with a teasing smile, he declares he is dying to try it. The reaction surprises her, especially because he seems genuinely happy. Some time later, they arrive at the tent where Aristide is staying and are greeted by Chaos, who serves the Duke's family. The noble asks the servant to prepare a change of clothes for Melphiera, and Chaos promptly does so. Before she changes, the Duke prepares water so she can bathe. She feels a bit embarrassed, thinking it excessive, since she was not that dirty, and believes he is going to too much trouble for who he is. Then Aristide removes his shirt. Melphiera nearly panics with embarrassment. She had seen men bathing outdoors before, but never someone like him, so close. Even while blushing, she cannot look away. In her thoughts, she praises his well-defined body, and the Duke, noticing, comments that he trains often. She agrees, remembering how he defeated the monster earlier, an impressive spectacle. At last, she agrees to use the same water, and, while washing beside him, asks if she could ever defeat a creature like that. Aristide replies yes, but jokes that with arms so thin, it might take some time. Until then, he asks that she let him handle the most dangerous part. Not quite understanding what he meant, Melphiera leans a little closer, which makes him blush with embarrassment. Regaining his composure, he says he intends to go hunting soon and asks whether she is interested in any particular species. The simple invitation excites her. The forests of Galbraith are a sanctuary for rare monsters, and the idea of exploring them sounds like a true gift. Aristide notices a small trace of blood on her and carefully decides to clean it. She, in turn, points out that he also has some, and the two end up cleaning each other, creating an intimate and silent moment. The atmosphere is broken when Chaos enters, exclaiming indignantly and asking why the Duke is shirtless before a lady. Aristide tries to justify himself, saying he only showed his chest, but the servant retorts that it makes no difference showing nipples before a woman, especially during a conversation, is completely improper. After some time, both finish changing. Aristide, proud, shows Melphiera the head of a monster as a trophy. She is amazed, wishing she could do the same someday. Her reaction surprises everyone, since most women would faint or scream at such a sight. Chaos, however, feels pleased perhaps spring has finally arrived for his duke. When they go to fetch Melphiera, she politely thanks the duke for all his kindness and thinks that this may be the moment of farewell. But Aristide assures her he will soon return with a gift that will surely delight her. He plans to hunt a monster she would love to meet. The promise makes her heart race with joy. Many rumors say Aristide is a mad and bloodthirsty man, someone who wishes to see the world burn. But in her eyes, it is merely a misunderstanding. He is kind and surprisingly gentle. Before leaving, the Duke even gives her a gift: dried meat from a monster that lived within his family's territory. Enthusiastic, he tastes a piece immediately, which drives Chaos furious for being so reckless. Fearing the Duke might be poisoned, he tries to stop him, but Aristide convinces him to taste as well. To both their surprise, the flavor is amazing, worthy even of accompanying fine wine. Melphiera watches everything in astonishment. Throughout her life, she had been rejected and judged for things they did not understand. Always treated as if she had done something wrong, she tried to ignore it, to pretend she did not care. But deep inside she carried a weight. Now, upon meeting the Duke, she feels something different. Happiness for having found someone who accepts her as she is. Aristide notices her thoughtful expression and asks if something troubles her. She replies that she is merely saddened by having to say goodbye. He smiles and assures her they will meet again soon, a promise made between the two. And thus ends today's episode. The scene changes to Melphiera, who is returning home, where the girl is returning home, and suddenly, her father appears very worried. Melphiera apologizes for not having gotten a fiancé, but he says that the girl is the maiden of the Count Marchalrayd's family. The man asks her to stay calm. Since a duke is far beyond the family's reach, he still does not understand why the Duke of Galbraith is asking for his daughter's hand in marriage. Melphiera asks to know if it is papaya he is after, but the man asks her to pay attention, for it is the hand he wants in marriage. The father would only like to know how he will reply to the Duke's letter. Melphiera had never seen her father so worried like this in her whole life. But still, Melphiera is very confused, since it is something quite sudden. We are taken to 10 days earlier, when Galbraith went on a mission together with the knights. Several of them ended up going too deep into the forest and entered the monster's den. Galbraith is very happy for having managed to fulfill his mission successfully. He defeated all the monsters and without any fatal victim. His Majesty praises Galbraith a lot for the fact that the boy is very strong. Even so, he finds him very cold and answers everything with a yes. He would like to be called Big Brother Maxim, as he was called when he was a child, but he refuses. We are informed that both are indeed brothers by blood, but 17 years ago, when the boy became the crown prince, Galbraith became the subject and was adopted by the Galbraiths. Galbraith knows they need to draw this line between both, and even his brother not agreeing, there is not much to be done except accept. Looking down, he notices that the boy is holding a basket and would like to know what is inside, but he does not want to do that. When getting near his brother, he makes him get distracted and grabs the meat. When tasting it, he notices it is very delicious and would like to know from which animal it is made. Galbraith answers that it is made from a monster. Maxim is not surprised and realizes that this meat is even tastier than that of a 3-star cow. Maxim has a great idea. He would like both to get married. Since it is not always that Galbraith manages to get along well with a person right away, and he knows that this is true, but he does not believe that Melphiera is the voracious villain. She hid such a brave heart, even in such a delicate body. Not only was she not afraid of the monster, but she remained beautiful, even covered in the beast's blood. Still standing, she captivated him in an instant. Soon, his men appear in the place saying that they managed to locate the backhorns. Apparently, only one of them ended up going crazy, so he will ask to cancel the future hunts. His friend asks if Melphiera will also go to the future dinners, going out to get some fresh air alone. He wonders if she believed it or not, and wants to send her a small gift. The face she made the last time they met will never let the girl make it again. The scene returns to Melphiera talking with her father. She never imagined that he would send such a luxurious letter, full of several jewels around like that. Her father explains that it arrived about 7 days ago. The father would like to know what really happened at the dinner. No matter how much Melphiera explains, the man cannot believe that she was saved, and soon Galbraith asked her to marry him. The father just wants to find a way to refuse this marriage. At nightfall, Melphiera hugs the letter, but notices that magic is coming out. When calling her father, she sees that in the letter it is written that he will visit them on the 18th, which is the next day. And the father goes into shock for being very short notice. Before going to sleep, she takes the photo of her already deceased mother and promises that she will make people respect the formula she created so that they can eat monster meat. The next day, Melphiera wakes up very early and her stepmother is already knocking on the door. When entering, she notices that she has her hair all messy and realizes that Melphiera is a very rude person. While she is changing, suddenly Galbraith appears in the place with his dragons. He stays in the air and says that he only came to ask for Melphiera's hand in marriage. Before talking, he asks the dragons to land in the north so that they can talk. Before leaving the room, he tells the stepmother that he intends to accept the marriage proposal. When arriving to talk with Galbraith, suddenly chaos appears, apologizing for having arrived so early. Tea is that the boy could not wait any longer to see her. When seeing the gift, Melphiera asks if it is some kind of monster, and the boy answers that yes. She notices that it is a high-class monster and that its fur is something very valuable. Melphiera asks if she can keep such an expensive gift, and the boy does not care about money. Suddenly, Melphiera's father appears in the place, and he asks if the Duke already knows about his daughter's strange tastes. He answers that yes, and despite the rumors that follow her, he still wants to ask for her hand in marriage. Melphiera asks her father if she can show the research center to Galbraith, and the father sees no problem in that. Then, both go flying. In Melphiera's mind, she knows that she needs to show the Duke the research center and the reason why she is passionate about monster meat. And episode 2 ends with her wondering what he would think of her strange tastes.